Good day to everybody. This is Stewien, South African. My identity number 62050351160085. Human trafficked by the Irish government. Reference 5753612. And you'll notice by the heading of this, I have now been in this country, human trafficked, tortured, had my neck broken in two places, had my back broken, been tortured to death by the Irish government and their HSE doctors. And they're trying to hide from the world everything that they've done to myself, my wife, and my family. They change dates and times and lose data. And then they send me letters after they reject me from all Irish human rights, all Irish law, all Irish constitutional law, withhold me from every court of law in Ireland. I have been now to many courts, and each time I have been in a court on Ireland, they have had strikeouts. Now, a strikeout is when the judge declares there's no case for the state. It means they've got nothing, no grounds to stand on legally because of what they've done. And the thousands of letters that I have written to this government. In retrospect, I was brought to this country in 2002. People from the Irish government, representing the Irish government, flew over to South Africa, in South Africa, on South African soil, issued me with a 10-year contract to Ireland as a professional. And when they brought me through in 2004, I notified the HSE, Mary Harney, of what was going on within the HSE itself, that they were using Ponzi schemes to murder people for money. At that time, they were taking my life. And what they did was they increased the level of OxyContin to 120 milligrams per day, Oxynorm to 60 milligrams per day, Lyrica to 1,200 milligrams per day, and then with other antidepressants and other drugs to murder me intentionally. Because when you have in writing written to a government informing them to make contact with the South African government and ask my embassy to come to my assistance, then you find all the bribery, crime, and corruption of paying people off to kill Kevin Stewien, South African, because I had the guts to stand up and speak the truth and tell them what would happen in the future. That in business, everything works in business the way it should by law. You study business and you do it business right. You do it 100% right, legally, lawfully. That is how business operates. Then on LinkedIn, in Ireland, you have a minister of social networking and computing. And they went and blocked my main linked account because it got too many people. I was influencing millions of people, and they didn't like that. They didn't like the truth. So they blocked and restricted that account. Then my second linked account, they did the same with that. As soon as it got to a certain number of people, then they say restricted. And I opened and spoke openly to people around the world that on LinkedIn, they are blocking and stopping people from coming round and befriending me on a business account. And I operate on business 100% according to business. I'm a South African. I'm the white African. My people that I fight for and defended from a young age. And then they've got the audacity to do something like that. I opened a new linked account. And in one day, a single day, I've said this openly, 125 people came into my new linked account. Brand new, started from afresh. And then after one day, they went and blocked and restricted my linked account. This account has been restricted. Now, in all aspects of the law, law is law. And you have to, by law, have legal grounds to block and stop a man. When you are out of jurisdiction, that means you have no legal right to do what you've done. And the Irish don't care. They really don't care about anyone. Their crimes, their bribery, their corruption, I must pay for. There comes a point in the time of a man in business, you get tired of being somebody else's meal ticket. Africa, we are not people's meals ticket. We stand as Africans. I notified my government, watch your banks, watch your insurance companies, watch the companies. They are trying to destroy Africa. Tighten up your laws. Tighten up your laws. Raise up the laws. They brought in the drugs to destroy Africa. They brought in the crime and the corruption to destroy Africa. And they're trying to bring in all the investments and then destroy Africa that we cannot keep up in business. What is their goal? To destroy Africa, to divide Africa, to kill off Africans. You see all the SARS and Zika and AIDS and all these viruses that they've come out with. Well, that biological warfare has diversified, and it is now killing all the pigs and the cattle as well. Millions and millions, mass animal deaths through their own biological warfare. It is not our crime. It's not my crime. I speak the truth. I stand in truth. I've been trying to get out of this country for 16 years. And for 16 years they've been badgering, smearing my name, trying to block and stop businessman Kevin Stewien while they hold on to my salary to protect my own family. I have written and requested protection from the government of Ireland against South Africans because they are that much of a criminal element. And I do not stand for criminals. I stand as a businessman that came to this country to represent my country and nation, South Africa. And I represent it in truth. And I am the only man that researched and developed the quantum physics of what is taking place across the world. I developed the tier system the completed system of climate and how exactly it works. From 2004 to date, not one single error. That is a worldwide discovery. 2004 it was done. And they tried to kill me for it. They tried to torture me for it. They tried to steal it from me. From South Africa. Government property. Revenue for my government. I stand for my government. I have fought for my government from a child. And I will continue. But they are trying to not only murder me, they're trying to murder my wife and my children. And I have requested of this government for my salary back so that I can send my wife and my children back to safety. What laws are there that prohibit a country from obeying United Nations laws, European Union's laws, African Union's laws, human rights laws, and they reject the entire world? All law. Law is law, and it operates according to law, just law. When you cannot even enter a court of law in Ireland, that you are not able to even stand in a court of law. In one court, they even badgered that they got, I stood up and represented myself and my family. And the judge went about conniving. And he said, we'll wait for a break. And at the break, you go speak to the lawyer and tell him your story. And when the lawyer asked me my story, I told him why it is out of jurisdiction and why I'm declaring out of jurisdiction. Because I come under international laws, South African law, Geneva Convention law. And we went back into the courtroom. Now I had already declared out of jurisdiction. And then the judge sits and says, jurisdiction accepted. I had never accepted jurisdiction. And all of a sudden, this lawyer was now representing me in court, an illegal action in court. I had not asked him to be my representative. And the judge said, jurisdiction accepted. And the lawyer got up and began to speak on supposedly my behalf. And the judge just turned around and said, rubbish, rubbish, strike out. And when I wrote to the court again, requesting a new court, I was denied that by the Irish government. I am denied all access to legal teams. My legal teams that I had, paid off by the government of Ireland, houses bought, churches bought, for them to keep quiet, paid off. This is despicable of the Irish government to behave worse than animals, that they cannot stand in any court, any law, and they don't tell the Irish people themselves how corrupt they are. Ireland was never bankrupted by immigrants. It was never sold out by immigrants. It was never bought out by any other but the Irish selling off their own people. selling off their own assets and their own government. I came as a professional contractor to do a job, and I have done my job professionally, and they left me for dead after the HSE tried to murder and kill me, paralyzed me neck down, that I couldn't even think, because they destroyed my memory and my brain, my vision, my hearing, every internal organ of this body destroyed. And then they expect me as a disabled man now to do what and fight how without any legal assistance, which is according to the United Nations, human trafficking, torture, murder. And then they try and hide this, when this should be an international case, all over the news, worldwide news, but they try and hide it. They try and hide it from South Africans. That is despicable. But yet when a South African commits a crime, then they want to spread it all across the entire world. Show how South Africa behaves. But when they behave even more despicable, then they try and hide it from the world. That is disgusting. Of any nation, a shame and a disgust. You sell out your own people. You corrupted your own people. Irish government themselves caught in the most greatest crimes against humanity, bribery, crime and corruption. And then they try and hide it and blame immigrants. They try and blame South Africans. They try and blame Africans. They try and blame Muslim people. They try and blame everybody else but themselves. Billions and billions of euro laundered around. And then they expect South African Kevin Stewien to pay for their crimes. This is not my crime. I did not partake in this. I stood my ground, South Africa, and I have stood it right as a businessman and a representative of my nation, South Africa. And I retain the physics of the climate and everything, because it belongs to my government. It took me 40 years to work this all out. And I have sold up my businesses in South Africa to fulfill an obligation of 10 years contract to Ireland. And they've held me now 16 years. And then send me legal notice. Let me tell you, they send a legal notice like this to me of pay 120 euro or you will be faced with legal action. This same solicitors, the very same ones, I was in court over 3 years ago, and the same people explained, and then they declared strikeout. But yet they send me the same letter again 3 years later, trying to run around the same mulberry bush, same old crime and corruption. And all I said was the simple truth. You give me back my salary with the incurring interest according to international law, and then I can pay my bill. Simple. And they keep budgeting me this way, day in, day out, year in, year out. They walked into my house illegally, unlawfully cut my electricity, cut my gas, for no legal reason, after presenting to the courts representatives that it is an illegal action. But this South African is denied all legal law. This South African, my family, that they tortured, that they got no regards for their health, their safety. And then they cut the very basics of life after they've removed all medical assistance, all financial assistance that they freely gave while they were murdering me in the HSC hospital. There's a time where truth must be told and the courts must decide. And I've been to the High Court, and then they say, you need a solicitor. And I've asked and I've requested of this government from 2004 a legal representative as an emergency management. In 2004, I asked for an emergency management of South African Kevin Stewien brought to the island by the Irish government. And they've been badgering from 2004 about the same things, sending me letters for 160 euros and refusing to return my own pensions and my own medical funds that I arrived in this country with, my own support system, South African. All South Africans, all Africans know you earn your living. You work hard for your living. You work hard in business. And then they go and do what they do and try and hide this from the world. And then I ask, what type of people are you? What type of people are you? Thank you very much for listening to this.